Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Welcome to the show, and thank you for tuning in. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest on last week's episode, world-renowned cellist Tina Guo. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in next week to hear my conversation with guitarist and Emmy-nominated composer Grant Geisman. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Duesenberg Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, Diodario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, Fishman Acoustic Amps, and Xotic Effects. So often, I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My guest today is guitarist and product specialist for Xotic Guitars and Effects, Kenny Echizen.
Hello.
Hey, Kenny.
Hi, Terry.
Let me tell them, not them, you, my listening audience, a little bit about you and about Xotic. And this is kind of a special day because you've invited us to the Xotic.
The playroom, we call it.
The playroom.
Yeah.
We are in the playroom today. So normally I don't actually get to sit face-to-face with my guests, and it's really a pleasure to be here.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
Cool.
Today we're broadcasting live in Van Nuys, California. I'm at the Xotic Guitars and Effects showroom with product specialist Kenny Echizen. Kenny is a session and touring guitarist, recording artist, educator, and clinician. He is a product specialist for both Taylor Guitars and Xotic Guitars and Effects. Kenny's recording credits include The Voice, One Life to Live, Disney, X Factor, True Blood, Hunger Games, the TV show version, Domino's Pizza, and one of my favorite TV shows, Sons of Anarchy, which I want to ask you about. Cool. His touring credits include performing with an eclectic group of artists, including Taylor Dane, Ukis, Cameron and Human, Jake Simpson, and many more. Let me tell you a little bit about Xotic Guitars and Effects, the company that Kenny represents. For nearly 20 years, Xotic has been a leading innovator in sound design and tone. The roots of Xotic go back to a small garage in the San Fernando Valley of Southern California back in 1996. The one-man company began by producing and designing high-quality bass guitars and preamps. The company grew slowly and steadily over the next 10 years and went on to release the Xotic AC Booster, RC Booster, and BB preamp. As Xotic's brand came to be more recognized throughout the market, the demand for its products became too great to stay working out of their tiny garage in San Fernando Valley. To make way for the future, a change was needed, so they moved to its current location in Van Nuys, California, where Xotic continues to design and manufacture world-class guitars, basses, and pedals. I am excited to be here at the Xotic showroom with my guest, Kenny Echizen. Thank you, Kenny.
Woohoo! Yeah. Man, listening to all my credits, I feel like I've been fired by a lot of people. You know what I mean?
What's the secret to your success from moving so quickly through one artist to the next?
Keep saying yes to everything, probably.
That's a good idea, and it's also hard to hit a moving target.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
how about this one? How about this
right.
one?
Keep your head down, play guitar,
That's right.
and show up early.
Show up early, be on time, do your homework.
Yeah.
All the, it's so funny. Like a lot of people, they all focus on being the best player they can be and all that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people tend to forget, being on time, being a nice person, no attitude.
Right.
Don't be late on a lobby call, which is a huge thing. If you're,
Yeah.
just things like the non-musical part is probably the most important thing.
Yeah. And by the way, for those that don't know, 15 minutes before your lobby call is on time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything after that is late.
Yeah, that will get you fired more than messing up a song.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like that's how a lot of the musicians like yourself and all my other colleagues and people that I respect, they all have that in common. They're very professional, and what professional means is being on time. And like I said, all that stuff that I was talking about, and a lot of the younger generations are almost forgetting that.
Were you taught that in school, or did you
No,
learn
my
that
parents,
when your parents?
My dad was a very strict father,
Mm-hmm.
and being Japanese, I'm born and raised in Torrance, California, which there's a lot of Japanese community there. And then my first language was Japanese, actually, and I was kind of taught by that whole culture. So being respectful, being on time, all that stuff was already kind of under my skin right before kindergarten, pretty much.
I would imagine. Yeah.
So that kind of trickled down, and when it kept growing on me, and the thing that I thought it was normal was actually not from other people.
Right.
And that kind of put me on a certain place where I might, after I graduated college or music school at MI, I started gigging slowly, and I was always there like way too early. My first session, actually, the producer yelled at me for being being early. Like, you're always early. Like, just be here a little bit later. I'm like, you said 1 o'clock.
Right.
Like, what's wrong about being? But he was joking, obviously,
Right.
half joking, half kind of whatever. But
Right. Yeah.
things like that kept me a good reputation,
Mm-hmm.
and my skill set was, I guess, good enough to keep myself employed. But at the same time, people recommend me for being professional, and that's what the true meaning of being professional. You have to be good. Of course, you have to be good.
Right. That's a given.
That's a given.
You need to be able to play your instrument.
Yeah, exactly. But
there are a lot of us that can play that are not really a whole lot of fun to be around.
yeah, I mean, there's no time for Debbie Downers and no time for people that are giving attitudes and always just kind of, giving dramas everywhere. And I would never recommend those people for myself. The people that I recommend are the people that I want to hang out with. The people that I know that they will not put smeared dirt on my face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I also got a lot of gigs from subbing for people when I started off. And my mindset was, being a sub, I have no responsibility in a way. I could mess up and completely screw it up, and they will never hear from me again.
Right.
But the thing is, the person that asked me to sub, they're gonna get, yelled at and get.
Oh, there's a consequence.
Yeah, he'll probably get fired, and I didn't want that to happen. And I obviously, I try to be professional and try not to, be disrespectful to both ends. I did my best, and I had a good reputation. So the players that I played with at the time, got my number and whatnot. And that slowly gravitated to other gigs. So, which is kind of cool.
And for what it's worth, we first met in a club.
Yeah, I still remember this. I went to see Toshi Yanagi,
Right.
Who plays guitar for the Jimmy Kimmel Show,
Right.
and so many other stuff. But he and I have known each other for over a decade now, and he had a gig at the Cafe Cordial,
Right.
and it was you and your wife, and I forget who the other band members were, but they were just crushing musicians. And I just approached you that one night at Cafe Cordial. I don't even remember when that was, but
Yeah, it was a few years back.
Yeah, and then we exchanged contact, and that was it,
Yeah,
But
stayed in touch a little.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was about it, you know what I
Right.
mean? But a few years later.
But I think both made a good, solid first impression.
Yeah, absolutely.
We liked each other and knew that we wanted to figure out how we could do things together, whatever that might be.
Yeah, because I was probably in my early 20s, if anything, and I got your card, and I just emailed you saying, hey, you sounded great last night, awesome, and I kind of expected not hear back from you, just
Right.
being
Sure.
so used to not hearing back from people.
Right.
But right off the bat, you sent me an email, wrote back to me and said, thank you for coming and all that stuff. And it was just like, it was kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
is.
Like, wow, somebody actually cared and spend their few minutes to write me back. That's really cool. You know,
it is. It's pretty fascinating that something that you would hope would be a normal work ethic or life ethic would stand out. But it's true. The fact that you were brought up with this strict parents and know how to show up on time and be prepared, and I was as well. That would stand out, but it does. It really makes a difference. I want to start digging in and asking you some questions about Xotic and Taylor. You're a product specialist for both Taylor guitars and Xotic Guitars and Effects.
Yeah.
What exactly does a product specialist do?
Being a dork and a geek, pretty much.
And your qualifications?
That's my.
Those two things?
I'm a full-on geek. I love gear.
Yeah.
And I love pedals, guitars, anything guitars, amps, and anything new. I'm all over it. And basically, a product specialist is it's a a broad word in a way. You talk to dealers, you talk to customers, you talk to artists, you talk to anybody, and you have to know your stuff. You have to know what individual products will do and what's suitable for and what's suitable for. So, the product specialist part I do for Xotic is kind of customer service, A&R, and all that stuff all into one, becoming a product specialist.
Right.
And that's where we met, and that's where we started working together again.
Right.
And we talked about pedals. We built your pedal board.
Right.
We lent you the guitar.
Right. You helped me to really design my sound.
Yeah, I'm a sound designer, I guess, in a way, for guitar players.
Absolutely.
And that's what I do. So I still talk to dealers about, hey, what's this pedal do? What does this knob do? And that goes with any end users or artists and guitar players and bass. And I do A&R for the bass players too, so I need to know what the bass player wants.
Right.
So I do a lot of research on that part, that end as well. So the product specialist part of Taylor is what I do is I go on the road almost 12 to 14 weeks out of the year, and I'll scatter around obviously, and I go all over the country, a lot of part of Canada and the United States. And hop basically music stores, from big stores like Sam Ash Guitar Center to small stores, mom and pop stores. And I do like an hour and a half show demonstrating all the different body shapes and tone woods and what it's suitable for. And it's a sales event, but at the same time, it's an educational event. And I play acoustic guitar all by myself in front of 40 to 50 guitar players. Right. So to me, that's a little bit more nerve-wracking than 2,000 people that have nothing to do with music and they just there to have a good time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean that's still nerve-wracking, but
in a different way.
Having 50 people like crossing their arms and be like, oh sure, I could do better than that kind of a thing. It's like it definitely puts you on the spot.
It does.
So. Anyways, it's completely different.
But it's also an opportunity for you to use your guitar playing skills,
right?
In a way that, again, there's a performance aspect to it.
Absolutely,
it's an educational aspect.
Absolutely.
It's a sales aspect to it. But in a way, it's no different than doing a concert because that's also a sales activity as well. It's a performance.
You have to sell the product, which is either yourself or an actual guitar. It's still a sales event. Yeah.
Tell me about Xotic and what you love about this company.
Well, Xotic, the first experience I've had was I was a student in Musicians Institute back in 2004, and I didn't know anything about pedals or guitar much, besides the ones I have, which is very little. And Alan Hines, who's a good friend of mine and a good friend of both of us, everybody. And he was playing one of these yellow pedal that says AC booster, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm so used to seeing a pedal being like companies like Boss and the Tube Screamer, with the big switches and big knobs, and this yellow box that looked nothing like an overdrive pedal,
right?
And I was looking at that, I was like, what is that, Alan? And he's like, oh, it's called an AC booster. It's this this guy that makes it at the garage, blah blah blah, and it just sounded nothing like the stuff that I've heard. It doesn't sound like the DS1 or even a Tube Screamer, and I just fell in love with that. But it was very expensive, so I started saving up, and at Mesa Boogie, I think I bought a couple pedals from there.
Right.
And I started teaching at MI right after I graduated. And that's where I started to become closer to Alan and other musicians, other guitar players that knew the owner of Xotic, Toshio Horiba, who's my boss now.
Right.
And Alan Hines and another guitar player, a good friend of mine named Chris Jurgensen, they talked to Toshio about me. And said, hey, there's this young kid who's Japanese-American, plays guitar, and teaches at MI, and he's a good player, and he's a good kid. You know, you should talk to him. So Toshio knew about me already back then. So I was on a little cruise ship tour right when I was 22. And after I came back, I had a gig with my band, and Toshio hit me up saying that, hey, I heard that you have a gig coming up, and we'd love to meet you, because Alan and Chris were, saying a lot of good things about you. I'm like, great, we'll love your products. I'd be using 2 of your pedals on the gig. I'd love to talk to you about it. So that was the first contact. And he was kind enough to give me a few pedals at the time, and he put me on the artist endorsement list, which was like, oh my God, I'm 22 years old and I have like a free pedal. This is great. Which was, I did not expect anything like that, but since Toshio being such a sweetheart of a person and very supportive, he gave me, a lot of things. And I'm, throughout the years we were talking and contacting, but it never ended up being like an employment opportunity until a couple of years ago, where the company has become really big compared to a one man, one garage kind of a thing. And he wanted to expand the company to a bigger company. So he wanted to hire somebody that could play guitar, who knows gear, who knows musicians, who've been in this industry long enough. And
it also didn't hurt that you're bilingual, that you're fluent in Japanese and English.
So that was really cool. So they hit me up to do a demo video one day out of nowhere. He said, hey, what are you doing, tomorrow morning? I'm like, nothing.
I love those calls.
Yeah. Tomorrow morning, like, nothing. Can you come over to the studio and demo?
We're getting into our first break. I'm here with Kenny Echizen, and we will be right back. Stick around.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Welcome back. I'm here with Kenny Echizen, product specialist for Taylor Guitars and Xotic Guitars and Effects. Hi, Kenny.
Hi.
And, I first became aware of Xotic in 2006 when I was updating my pedal board for the Kebmo tour that I was on. And my guitar tech, Norik Renson, recommended I buy an RC booster and a BB preamp.
Oh, cool.
And it brought my tone to a whole nother level.
Awesome.
So I thank you for all of you and your company for making such great products. And it's really fun for me to be here in the showroom with you. And for all of you listeners out there, I have a special treat that I have not done yet because I'm normally not in the same room with my guest. But we're going to play a live song in our next segment using our Xotic guitars and pedals. So you'll get to hear these beautiful instruments and pedals in action.
Yep.
And Kenny and I having a little bit of fun together.
Sweet.
You were talking about your evolution as a musician, and I'm sure that your dream as a little kid growing up in Torrance was not to be a product specialist for.
God, no, not even close.
You wanted to be a musician?
Yeah, I mean,
What drew you to guitar? What's your early evolution?
Well, I didn't know what being a session musician or touring musician really was, but I
Mhm.
just liked the whole terminology of it.
Right.
It sounded like a really fun gig to have.
Mhm.
So I had a little thing with the guitar, kept it going, went to music school, and just basically tried to be a professional, whatever professional musician was. I tried to be
Are you
that.
the only musician in your family? Or
Yes, I'm the only.
so
musician.
your mom and dad not
Oh, they
in
had
music?
no idea about music at all.
And your wife?
No idea.
No idea. So,
Zero clue.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So I never, like you said, I never expected to do whatever I do now.
Mhm.
10 years ago, however long years ago, that I wanted to become a professional.
Right.
But, like we all know, one thing leads to another. So, this gig was something from meeting Toshio
Mhm.
years ago out of nowhere. And now they just offered me to do this gig because, being bilingual and knowing a lot of gear and playing guitar and knowing a lot of the musicians out here, that really led me to this gig, which, it's a completely eye-opening experience because I'm so used to just not sitting in an office and doing computers and
Sure.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? So that's been very interesting. But still, I get to play. I'm still on the road playing for artists and doing the Taylor stuff, and I do sessions a lot. And
I know that, yeah, you do sessions and you tour and play on soundtracks. Do you enjoy studio work as much as live performance?
I like the studio more, honestly, because it kind of brings out the creative side of yourself.
Right.
You could be creative on stage too, but it's a different kind of juice that you have to kind of start flowing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And again, I like gear. I like making really cool, whatever I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, people liking it it's very satisfying.
Right.
And I like the whole process of starting from scratch and building something beautiful and great together instead of rehearsing all the time and coming up with one performance or several performances, which is still fun. And I will love to do it. I still love to do it, but to me, I like the whole studio creative side for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. I love being in the studio.
Yeah.
I also love being on stage, but there's something very magical about being in the studio with instruments and
Yeah.
pedals and
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
How did your education at MIT prepare you for both of these skills, studio work and live performance?
Definitely, the school definitely helped me read
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, because there's not all the guitar players out there, to be honest, that knows how to read.
Did you have solid reading skills before you went to music school?
I played drums in marching band.
Right, you were in drum corps when you were a kid.
Yeah, I was during high school.
Didn't you start on piano first?
I started
correct?
on piano when I was 6. I knew what those notes were,
Right.
and what they do. And also on drums, I knew I was pretty solid with the rhythm, but I didn't know how to incorporate that into guitar.
Right.
So as soon as all of a sudden the teacher handed me a sheet music with 3 notes on the in the paper, I had no idea how to play. So basically I had to start from scratch, but I knew what they were.
Right.
But I didn't know how to put that into the guitar world, so to speak.
Right.
So that helped me out, learning how to read, write my own charts on the fly. That's helped me out more than anything else. And then when the producer says, hey, can you do a little bit of that but in a higher position, or can you do that in a different area or whatever, if I didn't know my notes on the fretboard, knew the triads or any theory background or whatever, like, oh, let me tune my guitar down a whole step and a half, and then rethink. So if I'm playing this chord, then that means, and so I could use my theory to convert all the chords into down a minor third or whatever.
Right.
So I could do that on the fly, which is a good part of it, a solid part of it, of being more of a studio musician than anything else. Because a street musician, so to speak, it takes a little bit more time. I've seen and heard that it takes a little bit more time for them to figure out, just shifting one position or shifting a voicing on the same part. It takes a little longer. Not everybody, but some. So that being educated definitely helped me on that.
Yeah. That makes sense. It knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
In every aspect of life.
And some people say, theory and music school is going to take out your soul. It's total bullshit.
Thanks for saying that, because actually when I made a decision to go to music school, I went to Berkeley. I studied in Miami where I grew up, and then moved to Boston.
Yeah.
I was afraid that I was going to lose the whatever special it was that I had as a player, and I realized very quickly that all the information and the knowledge just enhances it. It doesn't take over or erase the very unique thing that makes you Kenny or me Terry.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It is bullshit.
It is a total bullshit.
Yeah, and I don't know where we get that idea from.
They're just scared of learning new stuff or like being on the spotlight of telling yourself you actually don't know how to do this. And musicians and guitar players are nothing but egotistic bastards. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I have my own ego. You have your own ego. We have our own confidence, and we're afraid of being told that, hey, you're not good at this, fix it.
Right.
And we get offended. That's our first thing. So just not a lot of people, I guess, could really admit that in a way. And, you know, there's a quick example. I did a gig where it was like a gospel thing, and somebody handed us a chart, and everybody were gospel musicians. And they were, you know, great on their own things. But I was kind of the non-gospel guy that just got hired to do this gig.
Right.
And I would start reading, and this bass player, I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but he said, oh, I don't do that. When he said, you know, when somebody handed him a chart, I'm like, what do you mean you don't do that? You mean you can't do that?
Right.
You know, don't act like you're cool or anything like that.
Right.
You know, like not knowing how to read, I get it. You know, it's okay, but don't act like you're just, you know, you're cool because you can't read or anything.
Right. And we all know musicians that are not readers or not good readers that are still phenomenal musicians.
Absolutely.
It doesn't define you as a musician, but the more skill you have, the broader your skill set, the more opportunity that you have to make music and work.
Yeah. And again, like you said, I know a lot of people that could read anything upside down, front and back, that are great players, as well as players that are amazing players that cannot read a single note, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong about it, but just bringing that attitude along with that is the worst thing you could do.
Oh, absolutely.
To put yourself, you know, in the market.
I agree. One of the things that I enjoy about your position with Xotic and with Taylor is that you make videos to show off the instruments and the pedals. And I'm wondering, how do you choose the songs that you do, and how do you prepare for each video?
Inspiration. All the songs that you were hearing in the beginning, that was just me playing the guitar, noodling for a few seconds, and whatever comes up. Right. You know, like the looks of the guitar, the sound of the guitar, it kind of leads me to a certain direction of music or styles of music, and I just kind of go for that. So it's all full improv. I never really, you know, really like compose much stuff.
So you're given artistic freedom to do whatever you want to show what is wonderful about the instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for the Taylor guitar stuff, certain guitar is suitable for certain style. So I obviously gravitate towards that and come up with a piece or play a certain thing.
I see occasionally for your acoustic guitar demos for Taylor that you've worked out a guitar arrangement of a particular song, and it's really, I really enjoy them. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a Taylor endorsee. Right. I've been playing Taylor guitars for over 20 years, and but I really look forward to seeing your videos because they're fun. They not only show off the tone of the guitar, but I still get to feel you as an artist, and, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting to me, and it makes me appreciate the instruments more.
Yeah, just knowing what the product is good for. You know, you would never want to play a heavy metal music on a big L5. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. You wouldn't want to play a straight ahead jazz on a super pointy shred guitar, you know, with nines on or anything like that. Right. You could still do it, but it's not suitable for that. Right. You don't want to play a fingerstyle piece on a big humongous jumbo acoustic guitar or whatever.
Although occasionally there are the people that break the rules, like Ted Green, who was this amazing jazz guitar player who played on a telly.
Right. I mean, there's so many great telly players that are playing so many different styles. Even jazz. And Ted just, I mean, it's Ted, or Wes, or whatever.
Or Ted Nugent back in the day with, playing his.
like a 175 or something like that, right?
It was actually a narrow body. It was a narrow body Gibson. I forget which model it was.
Okay.
But it's he did that and worked that with Marshall amps and developed his sound.
It just works.
Where everybody was playing that instrument as a jazz instrument. Yeah. So. But I'm a big believer in breaking the rules. I mean, that's what this
course.
show is
Absolutely.
about, is shining the light on
Yeah.
how to think outside the box, and that's why we're sitting here, because you're a great guitarist, a great musician, but you're also not afraid to take that skill and limit it to just saying, oh, all I'm going to do is this.
No.
You're open-minded enough to say, you know something, working with a company like Xotic or with Taylor could be a very cool thing where everybody benefits.
Yeah, our job is to break the rule and
Right.
do all the others, finding all these other things that not a lot of people could really, what do you call it, discover.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so many of the facility and time to mess around with these great instruments and pedals and whatever to really figure out, hey, this could work for this too, and that's where my job comes, great, because I could tell so many guitar players that these work for a certain style or whatever.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Do you get to keep the guitars and pedals and all the really cool wardrobe that you have in every video that you
Sometimes, but nope.
Nope.
I pay for everything. Taylor guitars, I bought my own Taylor guitars. Of course, with the bro deal.
Right.
Same with the Exotics.
Mm-hmm.
The guitars I bought with my own money.
Right.
If I truly believe in the instruments and the company, I will pay my own money.
Right, because you actually want to support the company. People forget, just because a company is well known, it's family business.
Yep.
A lot, Diodario,
Yep.
and there's a Diodario family,
Yeah.
and that's who you see at the trade shows,
Yeah.
and with Xotic and with Taylor, Bob Taylor, and they're everybody. Mesa Boogie's that way. They're companies that are doing their best to make amazing product with integrity.
Right.
And to get it out there and make a living, stay in business as we are as musicians. And it's part of the reason this is my first, you're my first guest that I've had that we're delving into this area of the music business.
Mm-hmm.
The background of product specialists
Right.
and artist rep and endorsements but I think it's really important to support the companies that support us.
Absolutely. The jokes that are all over the musician world is, the club owners are asking me to play for free for exposure and all
Right.
that stuff. We could put the same thing for artists, for endorsements for companies like us. And like people ask, some people are asking, hey, I'm playing for so-and-so and doing this tour and so-and-so, so can I get some basically free stuff?
Right.
It's the same thing like somebody's asking you to play for free for the exposure that they're going to get. And I get it. I totally get the whole background of all that stuff, but we have to pay our own bills too. And there is some, the realistic side too. And of course we could help you out with some artist discount or some sort of help, but we can't just, throw away stuff like it's nothing. You know what I mean?
So can you tell our listeners what companies are looking for when an artist wants to develop an artist relationship with a company? What kind
question.
of artist do you want to see?
Great question. Well, people who actually believe in it, and I've had some artists that wants to get an endorsement deal from me. The best example was somebody reached out to me saying that, hey, I really love your products and I would like to have some sort of relationship with you guys somehow. Can I buy something at full price and I'll just promote the shit out of it by Instagram, Facebook, everything.
Right.
And I'll make live too. I'll make everybody, if somebody asks me what my guitar is or where my pedals are, I'll tell them, who to talk to and all that, and have them make sure that, I, meaning the person, tell him that I brought him. You know what I mean? Like just
right.
Like a referral.
Well, they were there wanting to make sure that the company was going to get as much as they were getting out of the relationship.
Yeah.
And people forget. I've had very long-term relationships with the companies that I endorse, with Mesa Boogie and Diodario and Taylor, and a newer relationship with your company, with Xotic. Even though I've been using the gear for a long time, but it's growing and evolving into an artist relationship as well, which I deeply appreciate.
Yeah.
But people forget that it's an artist relationship.
Absolutely.
It works both ways.
Yep.
We're getting ready to go into our next break. I want everybody to please stick around. I'd like to invite you to stick around because Kenny and I are going to play a live song in opening up the next segment. and we've got a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having.
And what's the website for Xotic?
Exotic.us with an
.us.
X.
Okay.
XOTIC.us.
Okay. And Taylor Guitars?
TaylorGuitars.com.
We will be right back with my guest, Kenny Echizen.
Woohoo!
That's right.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Thank you and welcome back. And this is our first live music performance on Making It with Terry Wollman. I'm here with Kenny Echizen.
Woo!
And we're going to show you a little bit about what these amazing instruments sound like. Xotic Guitars. I'm playing the Xotic California Classic. And you are playing?
Also the California Classic.
California Classic. And I'm using the AC booster, the SP compressor, and the EP booster as well. And you?
I'm using the AC booster and the X Blender running a carbon copy analog delay.
So here we go. Little one of our favorite songs.
Little Steve Lind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenny.
Awesome. Thank you, Terry. Awesome.
That was fun. Yeah, we need to do, I think, more live music on the show. This is going to be a new segment as often as possible. You studied at Musicians Institute from 2004 to 2006,
Yes.
and then you stayed on as a teacher from 2006 to about 2013.
Yeah, I like the place so much I had to stay.
I'm amazed that you did that. Tell me about those 9 years of your life.
Well, it was definitely a learning curve in so many ways. First off, being a student there was a blast.
Yeah.
12 hours a day for a year and a half.
Did you have a social life when you were in school?
Not really. In terms of social life within the school,
Right.
I jammed, hung out, nothing, 24 hours music.
It was music.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here for me.
Yeah, that was, same with, you at Berkeley. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, that's how our life was. And that,
My social life was running. I ran around the reservoir in Boston.
Oh wow, cool.
By myself, which was very not social at all. But I mean that's what I considered my fun time. My
Right.
playtime was getting some exercise.
And for me, it was just being around guitar was my dream. So I was it was a dream come true.
And you lived in Hollywood?
No, I lived in Torrance.
So you commuted.
So yeah, it's the only time I was in Torrance was to sleep and eat.
Were your parents supportive of your time in school?
Very.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, I was not a really good student back in high school, and they were stoked that I actually wanted to go to school and
focus and
getting good grades. And
Right.
I've won a couple awards, and started. And then as soon as I started being a faculty there, that was kind of a big wow factor for my
Right.
teachers and my parents to be like, okay, you're doing something right for once, kind of a thing. So yeah, from then on, I became close with a lot of teachers there, and I've just became friends, a real friend with many of these teachers.
Right.
So that was kind of a cool experience.
So it seemed like a very natural next step for you. It didn't feel like you were trapped and that there was
no
nothing else that you could do, so you had to teach.
Yeah, the fact that I could actually make some money doing
what
what
you
I
love.
do is I would do anything, and I'll never regret that.
I personally love teaching, and I think it's a very important part of what we do is the opportunity to share our knowledge, our experience, our wisdom, and mentor or teach or guide.
Yeah. I love teaching too.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great part of what we do, and it makes us better musicians.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's. I learned that I study martial arts also, and I remember when I first started studying, I was 40 when I started studying. So I started studying late in life, and I was a white belt. I was just learning something, and then they taught me something, and I practiced and practiced and practiced, and then they told me I needed to teach it to somebody else, and I didn't understand why or how I could do that. And the sensei said, "That's how you learn. You learn by teaching."
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
you have to know your shit. That's you have to know what you're teaching, or else you can't be a good teacher.
right. And they do that in medical school also. That they basically say, see one, do one, teach one.
Right.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
So it's very cool that you did that and that it was a positive experience.
It
for
was
you.
very positive. It just things were cool. I got to, like I said, get to knowing the teachers were very cool too.
When you were a kid, did you have any other hobbies, or were you just a geek?
I was a geek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't do sports or?
Oh, I mean, sports and I do not get along. No, not at all. I mean, even now, I watch. All my friends are like, "Oh, did you see the game?" I'm like, "Yeah, sports, totally."
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
that's
Kick a free throw, guys. Yeah.
When I moved to LA and I actually have always loved exercising, but I don't really watch a lot of sports unless it's when I get invited to a game. I think it's really exciting to do that.
That's a different experience.
It is, or to watch like a World Series or an Olympics. Seeing the world's greatest anything has always intrigued and thrilled me. But I realized, I was hanging out with people, I was networking, and everybody was talking about the game last night, and I felt like really like a fish out of water, and I thought I should pay a little bit more attention to who won, and I did. I would look at the news or look at the newspaper, and so at least I said, yeah, that was great. They won. The Lakers won last night. Go Lakers, and then on to the next conversation. But I still wasn't watching the games. But when I did get invited to Lakers games, they were amazing.
Oh yeah, it's a different experience. Being on that field is different too.
So let me ask you a couple personal questions.
Yep.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Absolutely.
You didn't even
coffee.
have to think about that.
Nope. I'm drinking coffee right now.
As we speak. That's what's in your secret cup?
Oh yeah. All
now,
the way.
Is it true that you weren't able to eat sushi until this year?
Until like a few months ago.
How's that possible?
I don't know. It just happened. I hated sushi. I actually loved sushi. My parents used to own a restaurant.
They did?
Yeah. And I used to eat a lot of like real good sushi for a long time. And that's all I ate.
Right.
And I forget when it was, young age. One day I just hated it and hated it until a few months ago. And my wife my girlfriend at the time, wife now.
You just got married recently,
yes,
didn't you?
like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, she loves sushi and she hated
You're not wearing a wedding ring.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a wedding next year.
Got it.
We're going to save it for then. But she loves sushi and she hated the fact that I hated sushi. And she kept bugging me. I said, no. And all of a sudden, one night, she said, hey, what do you want to go eat tonight? And I said, let's have sushi. Something was like fall from the sky.
Love.
It was like, she's like, clank, clank, like just everything was falling. It's like, what's going on? It's like, yeah, let's go eat sushi. He's like, what? Okay. So we went there not knowing what I'm going to eat or if I'm going to like it or not. I had my first bite. I'm like, yeah, I could eat this. And she's just like, jaw dropped. And we've been eating sushi a lot since then, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So very expensive.
Yeah, it is. It's a very expensive habit. So what you're saying is it's good to not be rigid in your ideas about life.
Have an open mind.
Have an open mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And good things might happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to hate certain things, but always be open, and because one day that might come to you and be like, all right, I want to do that. And if you don't have an open mind, you wouldn't take that step.
Well, in this particular case, the perfect example, eating sushi led you to being married.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
I mean, really good things can happen.
I put a raw fish on her fingers, and she said yes. I'm just saying.
You mentioned performing on the cruise ship gig back in 2009. I know
God.
you went to Antarctica, South America, Mexico, Alaska, Canada.
And that was my first time carrying a guitar going to an airport.
Oh yeah, that's big fun.
Or going anywhere longer than 2 days.
Right.
Without going home, and that was a scary experience.
How long were you at sea, and what was that experience
I was
like?
out for 4 months when I just turned 22.
4 months straight?
4 months straight.
Yeah.
And
by the way, that's 7 days a week, right? Did they give you breaks?
Yeah, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Oh yeah, 7 days a week for a gig for 3 hours to 4 hours a day.
I guess that really improved your guitar playing.
Yes. I'm definitely made my guitar. I get to wear my guitar a lot lower now because of that. Because I used to wear music school height. You know what I mean? And then I kept playing the same thing over and over every night. So I got bored. So I'm like, what should I do to make this more challenging? Oh, let me lower my guitar a little bit more. So now I have it lowered down here,
rock style.
Like rock and roll style. I'm playing jazz.
Right.
So that was pretty interesting. But
were you playing solo guitar, playing in the bands?
No, I was playing with a band, like a ballroom band. We were doing rumbas and cha-chas and a bunch of standards. But yeah, my first time flying anywhere internationally without my parents or anything like that, or not a vacation. And my first thing was flying into Argentina, which was a scary thing, and never been. It took me 20-some hours to get there, and it was hot and humid and jet lagged, and all of a sudden I'm thrown into this big boat and do this. And the next week I was watching Antarctica, a bunch of icebergs floating around. So that was kind of a scary moment. And then being just shaken around by the water and all that stuff was that definitely made me thick-skinned. Yeah. My teacher at MI at the time, he's like, Kenny left here as a boy and came back as a man. And I really believe that. I mean, I was a completely different person when I came back.
I understand that my experience that made me, what I say, grow a thick hide, thick skin, was working in television, music directing, late night talk shows. Very quickly, you need to toughen up and not take anything personal.
Oh, yeah. And it made me a drinker too, actually. I could not finish a half a bottle of Budweiser at the time, which is, I can't even think about it now, but I came back drinking whiskeys it's like nothing, which is a good and a bad thing.
So it probably helps you when you're in Japan working as an artist rep.
Oh yeah,
for
no
business
problem.
dinners, right?
Oh yeah, I could out drink them anytime.
You work very closely with many of the top guitarists in the music industry. What qualities do you think these guitarists share that contribute to their success? What do you see as an observer?
The thing that we talked about in the very beginning was the being professional and being kind and not having a single attitude. And having confidence and attitude is a completely different thing, And
wow, say that again. Having confidence
and having attitude is a completely different thing.
That's right.
And you could be confident and not be a jerk, and it's hard to do that and right off the bat, it takes skill set to become that confident and not to look like a jerk, but the people that I adore, that I work with and look up to, they all have that in common. Alan Hines, Toshiyanagi, my good friend Ross, who passed away,
Bolton.
And he was a great example like that. He was a very friendly guy, but had this little edge of that confidence. Yeah. And it showed it in his playing too. And he was my first and foremost, will be my hero for the rest of my life. And he, rest in peace, Ross. But he definitely made me who I am as a player. in the beginning, and still am. I'm still learning from him.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't know, Rossi played with Al Jarreau and with a lot of other people, and was one of the regular guitar players on the Dave Koz cruises that I've been a part of the last few years.
Yeah, that's right. You played for Dave.
Yeah. And but the thing is, there was a kindness to him that I always really appreciated. If he would see me in a club, he'd call me up and hand me his guitar. And it was a sense of generosity. It was just a pure sense of generosity and sharing, and I think that's a really important quality also. This is a question I normally ask at the end of the show, but I don't want to run out of time and cut you short on this. So I'm going to ask you now.
Sure.
And then we will continue on. At this stage of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you ask? What would you tell your younger self?
Just say yes to everything. Don't give an attitude. Stay in time. Do what you're doing. Always believe in yourself. Don't have it's hard sometimes, but always believe in yourself, and always work hard. Always work hard, because hard work will, pay back in a good way. So I don't know. Just say, be open-minded and work hard all the time. I guess.
Say yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. We've got about a minute left. Is there anything that you want to tell people about yourself, or Xotic, or Taylor, or about life, or
about life? Coffee all the time.
Coffee is good.
Coffee is good, and careful on the bottle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But always, for everybody, just be well. There's a lot of shit going on in this world that is not good. A lot of sadness going on. So
1 minute.
Always be happy and love each other. Love yourself to the family and friends. And it starts by little things, will grow into something big. Yeah. Just like all of our life and careers.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you for inviting us to your home away from home, the Xotic Playroom, the showroom. This has been really fun. I'm a kid in a candy store today. And I thank you so much. This is, again, Kenny Echizen.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. And go check out Xotic Guitars and Effects. You will be doing yourself a favor. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to shine the light on one of many fantastic companies that are supporting musicians and artists, and for giving your perspective on what it's like to be a guitar player and an artist, and remain true to yourself while being of service.
And be better every day.
Be better every day. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. I will see you next week with Grant Geisman.
See you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.